I've not been a fan of this man's. I don't like how he talks to us. I don't like how he talks to the nation. He's been in New York forever. He's a New York person and been a New York character. That being a character on television is a lot different than being the president of the United States.
Whoopi Goldberg challenged Trump's FEMA misinformation with logic and a smirk, but nothing could prepare her for his childish response. From laughable claims about her audience to rewriting their history, this back and forth is almost too absurd to believe. Before we move on, I will like you to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Whoopi Goldberg didn't need to raise her voice or even furrow her brow. With a signature calm that could rival a yoga instructor, she took a simple smirk and sliced right through Trump's latest web of exaggerations and mistruths. On a recent episode of The View, Goldberg laced her points with precision, starting by questioning Trump's wild claims about FEMA, his statements about hurricane relief funds supposedly being the largest ever, bigger than anyone's ever seen. A classic Trumpism might have worked at one of his rallies, but they didn't stand a chance against Whoopi's live fact-checking.
We have never been asleep. No one's ever let us sleep. Because we've had to keep, because we've had to keep reminding people that women don't want to be spoken down to. Find a different way than to come after people because of their heritage, which they are born into. It is not a choice. You are who you are. Gay folks don't want to be spoken down to. Straight folks don't want to be spoken to. People don't want to be spoken down to. They don't want to be made fun of. Get a better gig. If you're a comic, be funnier.
Staring directly at the camera with her no-nonsense expression, Goldberg called out how misleading this narrative really was. Her words were clear. If FEMA's doing the most, it's done. Why are so many people saying they're left without adequate support? She followed up by referencing stories from actual disaster-affected areas, making it painfully obvious just how disconnected Trump's claims were from reality. In a move that had some audience members nodding in agreement, she asked the tough questions Trump would likely try to dodge. Who's footing the bill for these supposed massive successes? And why are so many Americans seemingly left behind in this so-called prosperity?
We're tired of that. That's why people are saying, right there, you heard the women say, listen, what we heard at that rally should be enough to shake folks awake.
But he keeps lying about me, and I do want to correct this. He keeps referring to, I wrote him secret love letters of some sort. I don't write love letters to dictators or aspiring dictators like Donald Trump did to Kim Jong-un.
You know, say, oh, you're with a white guy, I'm going to keep you from being deported. No, he's going to deport you and put the white guy with someone else. The man is out there.
She wasn't done there. Goldberg cleverly pivoted to Trump's trade narrative, pressing on how his policies have made life harder, not easier, for American workers. And from the look on her face, it was clear she wasn't buying Trump's spin. Reports she invoked showed a pattern: costs passed on to everyday families, agricultural workers struggling under strained trade agreements. The list goes on. While viewers found Goldberg's approach refreshing, Trump, let's just say refreshing, isn't in his meltdown vocabulary.
There's something on that birth certificate that he doesn't like.
Oh my God.
That's a terrible
That is just
Whoopi, I'm telling you.
He was 3 pounds.
Whoopi, I love you. I'm telling
I love
you.
you too. I think that's the biggest pile of dog mess I've heard in ages. I respect Barbara. You know, she said be polite to guests no matter what.
Yes.
And for the most part, I got through. I did it like I do now. And what they did for years, which is why people got up and said, you can't talk to me like this anymore. You can't talk about me like this anymore.
Hours later, his Truth Social page lit up with rants branding Goldberg dumb and disgusting. He even threw in a bizarre claim that her studio audience was so disgusted they walked out midway. Spoiler alert, that didn't happen. And just when you thought this back and forth couldn't get any weirder, Trump decided to rewrite their entire history. Apparently, in some alternate reality, Whoopi's always been one of his biggest fans, or so he says. Trump's memory works in mysterious ways. If you listen to him, it'll sound like he's living in an alternate universe where Whoopi Goldberg is his biggest cheerleader. In a Truth Social rant that felt like a stand-up routine, minus the laughs, Trump claimed Whoopi adored him. Not only that, but according to this fantasy, she once told him he'd make a great president. Cue the world collectively squinting at the screen, wondering if he had actually confused her with someone else entirely.
It was the episode of you when you were on The View.
and I think it was 2015 or 2006, like when you were running for president, you got introduced as our friend Donald Trump.
That's right.
Whoopi Goldberg gives you a big hug and a kiss. Joy Behar gives you a big hug. Barbara Walters gives you a big hug. They all loved you.
Donald Trump is a billionaire, a real estate mogul, and a television star. But does he really want to add President of the United States to his resume?
Barbara was her usual polite self, as she was with every guest. But did I look?
Of course, there's actual footage to debunk all of this, and it's comedy gold. Let's rewind to 2011, when Trump appeared on The View. At the time, the hosts, Whoopi included, were polite. They greeted him with the same basic courtesy you'd extend to someone who wandered into your house uninvited but brought snacks. Sure, they asked him a few questions about his presidential ambitions, but there was no gushing admiration, no glowing endorsements. It was all smiles, shallow banter, and zero evidence of the eternal friendship Trump has been hyping up in his head. What's even funnier is Trump's terrible timeline. In his rant, he insisted these interactions with Whoopi happened closer to 2015 or 2016 during his campaign. But the clip is from 4 years earlier, 2011, when he was still peddling the whole Obama birther conspiracy nonsense. That's the thing with Trump. He loves to bend time and facts into whatever shape suits his narrative. Misspoke, mistaken, nope. Just caught red-handed making it all up. Whoopi's response to his claims was pure entertainment.
Find a different way than to come after people because of their heritage, which they are born into. It is not a choice. You are who you are.
But he keeps lying about me, and I do want to correct this. He keeps referring to, I wrote him secret love letters of some sort. I don't write love letters to dictators or aspiring dictators like Donald Trump did to Kim Jong-un.
That being a character on television
Right.
is a lot different than being the president of the United States.
Rather than descend into the chaos Trump thrives on, she simply aired the clip that spoke for itself. There she is, calm and unruffled, nodding politely while Trump blabs on. No adoration, no, you'd make a great president. Just awkward chit-chat, underlined by the kind of tolerance you reserve for an overly chatty stranger in line at the DMV. Let's be honest, this is classic Trump. Rewrite history, dress it up with a ridiculous bow, and hope no one notices the gaping holes. Too bad there's always actual evidence to expose the farce. Whoopi didn't just embarrass Trump, she exposed his entire playbook. By staying calm and hitting him with facts, she showed how easily his puffed up narratives collapse under scrutiny. Her questions weren't just for show, they highlighted the real world consequences of his chaos, from workers paying the price for his policies to the damage done by his FEMA misinformation. Meanwhile, Trump's meltdown only made her point stronger. If this whole exchange taught us anything, it's the power of logic and patience in cutting through political noise. So next time Grumpy Trumpy gets loud, remember, a smirk and the truth go a long way.